All right, so one thing I want to do now that I've got the two major components of my image composited together, the background layer, the torso of the man, the portrait, and the ostrich head, the animal head, I kind of want to add some accessories to this. So I want to add some hair, and maybe I'll add a hat to it as well. In order to add a hat, I'm going to need some more space at the top of the image. So I just want to show you how you can increase the size of the image using the tools that we've already looked at. In class, we looked at image size, and I'm going to go back to that now. Image size, and we have an image that is 1920 by 1277 pixels, and this size here is coming from our original background layer, which was 1920 by 277 pixels, 1277 pixels, at a resolution of 72 dpi, which you remember in class we mentioned was the screen resolution as opposed to print resolution, which is around 300 pixels per inch. Now 72 pixels per inch is the standard size for almost all screens that we are dealing with, and this particular screen that I'm working with and the ones that we use in class will only display 1920 by 1080 pixels at a time. So if we want to make this a little bit larger, we're going to have to add pixels to it. If we add pixels here in the image size dialog box, what it's going to do is stretch our image out. So if I wanted to make the height of this image larger and not the width, I could uncheck this linking box between the two, because if you keep that checked, when you change one, the other is going to change as well. But if we unlink that and we change the height to something a little higher, like 1600 pixels, if we zoom out on this, you'll see that what happens is it stretches the image out. We don't want that. So let's link those back up again. You can see our proportions go back to normal. And we don't want to use the image size to change the size of our canvas. We want to choose canvas size. So I'm going to close out of image size, cancel that, and go to image canvas size. And what canvas size will allow you to do is tell Photoshop where you want the part of the image that you have now. Here you have this anchor section of the canvas size dialog box. And we want to add image area to the top of our image, so we want to place what we have now anchored to the bottom of the image. So it's telling us that when we add height to this image, here I'm going to add my 1600, I want my image to be 1600 pixels in height, and we're going to anchor the existing pixels to the bottom, click OK, and you can see it's added space there at the top of my image. And right now that space is transparent. There's no pixels there at all. So how do I extend my background into that area? I can do it in a couple of different ways. With my background layer selected, I can choose the Edit Transform tool and choose Free Transform or Scale, and then just grab that image and drag it up, right? So that I'm increasing, stretching that background layer to fill the extra space. Just going to undo that real quick. Hit the Escape key to leave the Transform tool. And there's one other way we can do it that's a pretty interesting way of working. And to do that, I'm going to make a selection, a rectangular marquee selection, around that area of transparency, right? So I'm going to select just down into my background image. I can now go to Edit, Fill, and I'm going to fill that, instead of with a particular color, I'm going to fill it with Content Aware Fill. And what Content Aware Fill does is it looks at the entire layer and tries to imagine what this layer would look like if it were filling this other area. So we'll click OK. That works pretty quickly depending on your computer, and shows me an area up at the top here that looks pretty good, but it's got this kind of funky thing that happened here at the edge. You'll find this a lot with Content Aware Fill. And the rest of it looks pretty good, but that area is not too good. So I think I want to try and find a way to hide that. Deselect, and what I'll do, because I think if I rotated this 180 degrees, this part would be behind the figure here. So I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to go with the background layer selected, go to Edit, Transform, and rotate that layer 180 degrees. Click Rotate 180, and that looks pretty good. So the area that was giving me a problem is now hidden behind the figure.